Hold on. I've been designing a custom weapon like that. Well, on the bright side, at least I now know it's too OP to be a normal weapon. So just a heads up, I started work on this before that new Splatoon 3 trailer dropped. And whilst I feel like most of this video is still okay, I felt the need to change some parts, especially after seeing how some of the new specials and subs work. I'm also not going to cover any of the fine details such as points for special, damage, etc. just because we don't know how Splatoon 3 will play yet, and we don't know if Splatoon 3 will even have stuff like MPU and all that. Anyway, with all that out the way, let's start off with the... This weapon's based off spray cans, it's a dually class, and that's all I have to say. I have made a model for this weapon, twice actually, but they just don't look that good. Anyway, I'm just going to explain what the weapons do after my failed attempts of modeling. So the spray cans are a short-range dually. Maybe the range is just a tad bit longer than the dapple dualies. What makes this weapon so special? Well, it's its rolls. I was originally thinking to make the rolls a tad bit longer than the Gluga dualies, but that just made no sense. It would just be a longer rolling dapple dually, and no one wants that. So instead, I've decided to make it so that when you roll, they create a toxic mist or disruptor like effect from the point on where you started to roll, slowing down any attackers that might have been following you. The second thing this weapon can do, unlike other dualies, is continue its roll. When you normally roll, you stop a certain distance from where you started. With the spray cans, you can roll for as long as you like, or for however much ink you have, by holding the joystick and the B button in the direction you want. So that this isn't overpowered, because this could be very overpowered, the longer you are rolling, the more ink your weapon would consume. As for the toxic mist or disruptor type effect, it will only linger for about 2 seconds after you start rolling. This attack is made so that you can escape enemies, not so you can splat them. Also, just a quick note, I did forget to say this, but when I create the kits for these weapons, I'm going to use the sub from Splatoon 2 and the special from Splatoon 3, just because we don't know all the subs for Splatoon 3. As for the kit, I would give this a torpedo and zip caster, due to the high mobility these dualies have. So the Aero Blaster is obviously blaster class, and it's based off an air compressor. My original thought was to make this suck up ink from opponent shots, but as we have probably seen, this might be a tad bit overpowered. Instead, I've decided that it'd probably be better if over time, the damage that you took added up into one big shot or explosion. You'll need to roughly, I'm not 100% sure, this could change, but roughly take around 250 damage without dying. This would reward players for planning their fights wisely and not just rushing into battle getting splattered 24/7. This mechanic isn't something that we have seen in Splatoon before, and would be quite interesting to see how players would use this. The Aero Blaster for its range would probably fit somewhere between a Clash and a Range Blaster, but I'm not entirely sure what their stats should be for this weapon. As for the Aero Blaster's kit, it should have Toxic Mist and a Big Bubbler. This would help the user of the Aero Blaster stay alive for longer if the team goes down, allowing for the user to plan their next move, whether that be retreating or moving in to attack. So the Pochley. The Pochley is a brush class, and it's based off of a buffer polisher. This brush can do everything a normal brush can do, except roll. Yep, you heard me right, it can't roll. So you might be thinking, that's crazy and silly, and a brush should always be able to roll. Like, what else could it do? And I've found an answer to that question. When holding down ZR, just like a normal brush, the Pochley will spin around you instead, painting the ground. And yes, this seems overpowered at first, due to it covering a lot of the ground and inking a lot of space, but the main drawback of using this move is ink efficiency. Another problem with this weapon is how short-range weapons will fight it. With the spinning area being so large, any short-range weapon that comes near it would be splattered. So to fix that issue, the Pochley will be given no extra run speed whilst holding ZR, like what regular brushes are given, making the speed at which the brush runs at 100% gear dependent, not leaving much room for anything else. This would allow short-range shooters to outrun the Pochley and attack them once they're out of ink. As for this weapon's kit, I think Splat Bomb and Killer Whale 5.1 3.1 would suit its playstyle really well. Yeah, I couldn't think of a catchy name for this weapon. Any ideas, anyone? So this weapon is kind of based off a sweeper vacuum, just letting everyone know if you don't know. And I also wanted to make this weapon like a hybrid between a bow and a roller class. The first major difference to this roller is the horizontal flick. Instead of having a horizontal flick, it has a charged shot similar to the tri-stringer, launching ink after tapping ZR, so you can't hold ZR to charge it. You just have to tap it and then it'll automatically charge and then shoot. The vertical flick has also had some major changes done to it. So flicking will make 2 lines of ink. The closer line will deal damage, maybe even being a one-shot if you're right up against the roller, whilst the further line will do no damage whatsoever except probably the 0.01 that is you standing in ink. The final gimmick that I want to give this roller is a charge up mode. When going to roll, if you hold ZR, the roller will start to charge, similar to the boss in hero mode. Once fully charged, the roller will speed off in a straight line, splatting anyone in its path. Now, I know what you're thinking. This could be on 3 separate rollers. And you're right, all 3 of these features should be on separate rollers. I just couldn't think of any other rollers at the time of making this. Now, as for its kit, a splat bomb and the crab tank would work fine. Even better if its ability gets separated onto 3 different weapons, out of all honesty. Yeah, I don't really have any. Sorry. So for this special, you'd be launched back to your spawn point, then fly up high into the air. Due to you being so high in the air, you can't see any players or the ink on the stage, and you only have 3 splashdowns. You can choose anywhere on the map to do a splashdown strike. Whilst yes, this special seems way overpowered, its main takeaway is that you can't see any ink or players on the stage, meaning that every time you come down whilst doing a splashdown, you'll have a small amount of time where you can see where people are and where the enemy ink is. I will admit there is a lot of flaws and issues with this special, and after seeing the new trailer, I do like what the Splatoon devs did, combining Tenta missiles and ink strikes together. So, this is just a Bomb Rush 3.0. Instead of getting a launcher, you'll get a venting machine that will cycle through 3 to 4 different bombs at random. Okay, but this seems quite underpowered from what we've seen Splatoon 3 specials do. But that's where the final part of this special comes in. After the timer has ran out, you'll drop the vending machine, and the bombs within will get stuck, leading to a splashdown-sized explosion, splatting anyone who's in the area. Yeah, I didn't really have much ideas for this special, and it seems and works very simply. But sometimes the most simple specials are the best, right? Okay, this is a special idea I've had for quite a while after seeing the first Splatoon 3 trailer. So anyone know those little bubble machines that you can find at the shop that you put the batteries in the back and it blows the bubbles out? Yeah, well that's what this is based off of. So you place the bubble blower 2000 on the ground. After a second it'll blow out 5 small bubbles. Your team can shoot at the bubbles to make them bigger, but they will not pop like what they did in Splatoon 3. Only the machine can pop them. Also, just a quick note though, the enemy team can still pop your bubbles. So yeah, you don't want to leave them lying around because the enemy team can destroy them. 4 seconds after all the bubbles are made, the bubble blower 2000 will shoot out a beam of ink. This beam cannot splat enemy players, but can pop the bubbles. I could actually see this being a Splatoon 3 special with some tweaks. And it does seem to fit in quite well with the other rework specials. Yes, there is some downsides to it and some things that definitely need to be changed, but I really could actually see this be in Splatoon 3. So there you go. These are some of my ideas for weapons, specials, and kind of subs in Splatoon 3. I haven't included all the ideas I've had in this video, mainly because some of them were really unfinished and probably would be broken in a game like Splatoon 3. But still, I can't wait to see what new weapons and classes the devs may have in store for us in Splatoon 3.